Hello students, today's agenda is going to be, we're going to start with the warm-up, then we're going to have, today the topic is Introduction to Logarithms, and your assignment will be 8.11. Today students will be able to understand where logarithms are used and how to evaluate them. Also, the academic word of the day is colleague. And the sentence is, when colleagues work together, the profits are higher. So we're going to start with a warm-up. At this point, you can pause the video so that you can work on your warm-up. And maybe take about 5-7 minutes, and I'll explain it in a minute. So pause it right now. Okay, so it says to write in expanded form and to evaluate. And I know this is review, and some of you might say like, what is expanded form? All it's asking for basically is to write it as repeated multiplication. So 3 to the 4th means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And to evaluate is just giving the answer. So 3 times 3 is 9. Times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. So that's the answer. That's what they're asking for. The second one says 2 to the 5th power. So it's going to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So we're basically multiplying the base, which is 2, 5 times. And so the answer will be 32. And finally, 5 squared, or 5 to the 2nd power, means 5 times 5, which is equals to 25. Okay, so that's all they're asking. For the second section, they're asking to write it as a rational, with a rational exponent. So if we recall, this is that you keep the same base. This exponent becomes the numerator, and the index becomes the denominator. So that's all you have to do for this one. Okay. The next one, again, we keep the same base. If we don't have an exponent in here, it means that it's a 1, so that goes in the numerator. And if we don't have an index, that means that is a 2, and so it's gonna be x to the 1/2. And finally, we have base 8, no exponent. That means that we have a 1 in the numerator, and the index 3 becomes the denominator. So it's 8 to the 1/3. Okay, so what are logarithms and why do we need to use them? You guys are going to learn more about logarithms once you go to Algebra 2. Right now we're just going to be looking at the introduction. And so the logarithms are used when you have exponential growth and exponential decay, which is some of the functions that we have been seeing lately. Okay. In science, one example is that they use to study the HP scale. Okay, but again, you will see this once you're in Algebra 2 with more detail. Okay. So, what would 2 to the x power be if we know that the answer is 32? What's the value of x? So this is telling me how many times do I need to multiply the 2 times itself, how many times, to get a 32. And so basically we would say that 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32. And so this means that x is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so my x is 5. And so there is another way to write it, and it's called a logarithm. You will write it like this: log base 2 of 32. Okay, that's how you write it. Log base 2 of 32. And that's what it's asking. How many times do I need to multiply the 2 times itself to get 32? And the answer will be 5. Okay. Now somebody asked me about how would you use it in a calculator, and so basically you will press log 32. So first it's going to be this number. You close the parentheses and you're going to divide by log the base 2, close the parentheses, and then you press equal, which is going to be the 5. Okay? If you see, the answer is right there. Let's do another one. Oh, and this is, I want you to have how we write it, and we say it. Log base 2 of 32. That would be the language that you would use. Log base 2 of 32. So what about if we want to solve 3 to the x equals 27? Again, it would be log base 3 of 27. And so that's equals to, how many times do I need to multiply the 3 times itself to get 27? So the answer is 3, because 3 times 3 times 3 is going to be 27. Another one? Solve 2 to the x equals 64. So 2 to the x, what will be the exponent x? Again, if you go to your log, it will be log of base 2, log base 2 of 64. And what is the answer? Again, if we want to use our calculators, although these are kind of simple, we can do it on our own, but it's, again, we press log 64, close parentheses. Remember that we have to do this, the bigger number first, and then the base, okay? Divided by log 2, close parentheses, and the answer is 6. That means that I need to multiply the number 2, the base 2, 6 times, okay, times itself. The 2 times itself 6 times. And so the answer is 6. Okay. Okay, try this one on your own. Maybe pause it right now so that you can do it on your own. So log base 2 of 128. What would that be? Pause it right now, try it on your own, use a calculator, or just do repeated multiplication so you can get to the answer. Okay, you probably got the answer 7, and I can show you here again in the calculator. we press the log, we press the 128, close the parentheses, divided by, press the log key again, and the base. Close it, and the answer will be 7. That means that I need to multiply the 2 times itself 7 times to get to 128. Okay? Okay, let's see. What about log log base 4 of 64? What would that be? Try it on your own. And I'm trying it here on my calculator, but I am giving you a chance. What's the answer?